So recently I had another event this past weekend. So it's the last event that I can do at this particular location, just because it's not my place and it's not going to be available after that. But it was fun. Not as many people as the first time, just because it was kind of a last minute thing, you know. Like I let people know like 2 days before, and yeah, it was fun. Let's see, what did we do? I have some pictures if you're interested. Let me see here. So if you're following me on Instagram, you'll see some of the silly stuff that I was doing. You know, a lot of times we're just messing around, screwing around. So
you were running the whole thing off of a power station. There it is.
Power station. It's not a big power station. It was just inexpensive. It's like 500 watts, right? But I'm like, I wonder how long I can run this stuff for, you know? So, you know, I set up some speakers, some extra speakers that I have here just to kind of compare. You know, I had a guy come in and he's like, you know what? I've never been to a HiFi show or anything like that. He's like, but this is the closest thing. And he's like, this is awesome. He's kept thanking us like, thank you for putting this together. Anyway, so I was just, you know, we're just testing out various speakers, but here it is. So I have the power station. I have all this stuff connected to it. I have a Yamaha AS501. I have this kind of like this kilowatt type of thing where it just shows you how much wattage you're using and the amps. I had the mini DSP DDRC 88A. I had that SMSL DAC. I had this RSL. I have that ELAC ProTech surge protector type power conditioner type of thing. So there's a good amount of stuff connected to it. And yeah, that we can talk about that in a bit. All kinds of stuff connected to it.
That. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
I got a better picture of it.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so I was running all this on this battery, ran both days with the battery, and I still had like 20 something percent left over, which basically tells me that we weren't using a ton of power. Out of all the things that take a lot of power, your sound system is probably not one of them. You know, it seems like it would be, and it can be if you have your subs probably take up a lot of power when the bass hits. It's probably a lot of power, but overall, it's not a ton of power. And we were playing them loud. We were playing all this stuff really loud, and it was pretty easy. One thing that I thought was interesting is also I had a switcher there that allowed us to switch between speakers just using a remote, and it shows you there on the switcher. I don't even know, where's the switcher? Yeah, it shows you which amp or which speaker you're connected to, but it's so tiny you can't even tell. So from a distance, it's kind of like you're switching back and forth and you can't really tell. So it was kind of fun to compare different speakers. We're comparing the old ELAC to the new ELAC Unifies, and a lot of people kind of like the old one better, and I agree. What else? And then so we're able to switch between amplifiers also. So a common question is, you know, Class AB versus Class D. I don't know if that's a big deal anymore. People seem to be embracing the whole Class D thing a bit more. But going back and forth, we were able to hear slight difference, right? Slight difference between the Class AB, and of course, we had to bust out the U mic and REW, and we were able to see that this is the Class AB amp that we were using, right? You see that little thing, right?
Right, tiny. Yeah.
So here's what the deal is. This thing has tone controls, bass and treble tone controls, right? And they have a little notch where they're in the middle.
Yeah.
But when they're in the middle, they're not perfectly zeroed out.
Oh, really?
What we were hearing, it was like slightly a little bit less bass and slightly a little more treble. So I could have moved it a little bit and zeroed it out. But just the fact that there's tone controls, you know, how would you know unless you measured? And that's what we were hearing. But after we kind of set that properly, I don't think people could really hear very much of a difference between them. We were playing it loud. And what was interesting was how much more efficient Class D is than Class AB.
As far as the power drain or power draw?
Yeah, power draw, wattage that we were looking at. So we were running those full range tower ELAC speakers that are not very efficient, and we're playing them pretty loud in the room that I would say is probably like 30 feet. I don't know, 30 feet by 15 feet. I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing. It's a decent sized room.
Yeah.
And we're playing it loud. And when we were playing it on the Yamaha, I think we were drawing maybe, the bass would hit maybe 160 watts. But that's with everything running. So less than 80 watts per channel. Okay.
Wow.
That's full range. When I crossed it over at 80 hertz, that dropped down to like half, even less. So that's why it kind of got me thinking, like, what is it with all these people just wanting to get so much power? And like, well, that's a lot, for your main speakers. Will you use all that power? I don't know.
Oh, like 200 watt amplifiers and stuff like that.
That's a lot of power. Where I was running some inefficient speakers and it was having no issue. And then also, so 160 watts. And then when I just switched over to this one, it was, I don't know, I think like half of that, less than half of the power using this at the same volume. Right. And the other thing that was interesting is that the Class AB was already drawing about 20 watts more. Scott guessed it. Scott was there. Where are you, Scott? I don't know if he's in the chat.
I don't know.
But yeah, he guessed it. He's like, I bet it's going to be like 20 watt difference. And it was. So just turning off the Class AB amp dropped the whole thing.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is. Dropped the whole thing by 20 watts, right? Oh. Just turning it off. So Class AB just takes power even if you're not using it. That's one of the benefits of using Class D, just much more efficient and less heat. All good things in my book. But anyway, I thought that was a fun, practical test that we were able to do, and other people were able to kind of experience that. I learned something, because I know it in my mind, but it's different when you actually test it. Yeah. So somebody saying True Voice of Reason saying that's called idle current. Yeah.
All right, everybody. We do the Daily Hi-Fi podcast every Monday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make sure you join up to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Daily Hi-Fi, and we will see you there for the big show every Monday. Yeah.